Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, after flap disc and grinder and belt sander, let's see what this thing does. Well, pretty good. Does a nice job of polishing. I want to see if it'll get rid of those things. That's a pretty good job. That's the part up there that I've worked on. This here I haven't touched. This edge I hit just a little. I think that flap wheel is a little too coarse. Still got some marks in there. Well, when you compare it, this side to that side, this side's a lot better, but still, I don't like the dimples. That's going to take practice to get rid of that. These wiggly lines, that's from the point of this roller going across it. That's what's making the wiggly lines. And this isn't fast enough at cutting to get rid of all the marks. I'm going to put on a coarser belt and see if I can get that to flatten out a bit. Since this seemed to work on the other belt, I'm going to try it on this one. Roll it inside out. When I'm first starting the belt, I like to point it away from myself because that's when it usually pops, is when you just first start it. And having that belt come around and slap your face is not a good thing. The belt mounted wrong side out. I run it for a few seconds and let it break in a little bit. You know, break loose the grains on the belt and kind of
free it up so it's more flexible. Then I flip it over and put it on the normal way. And run it for a few seconds again just to make sure it's tracking right and everything's working. It's a new belt. It's worth the effort.
See if I can take out some of those roller marks. Well, that makes a huge difference. That smoothed out quite a bit. Still got some marks over here.
Caught the egg.
Running them backwards has made a huge difference. And taking the ridges out of that. Now when you look at that, that's got a good finish to it. I'd say that's an acceptable finish. Not quite mirror, but pretty good. Okay, so what I was doing, the reason I was having all the trouble, I was trying to use a finish sander to take off heavy material. Never a good plan. Then I changed over and I ran this grinder, which I picked up for $19, as you can see by the stickers on it. Four and a half inch angle grinder, Black & Decker, pretty nice. Then I went over it with a flap wheel. After I sharpened up the flap wheel by running this over it. At Demmer, they use these to deburr the edges of the steel plate, which was laser cut or plasma cut, and it works quite well, but it's not a perfect setup because these dull off. And this kind of wheel, if you don't push it hard, doesn't cut away enough to expose the grit. I mean, this thing is just barely started to wear. And they tossed it in the scrap bin because it wasn't cutting fast. I like these better than these. Chicago Electric is a cheap wheel, and they tend to fly apart when you least expect it. This one is a lot heavier duty. It's an OGW. This is a Chicago Electric. This is a cheap one from Harbor Freight. This one is a good one. So we're going to toss this one in the scrap bin because I don't trust them. These tend to fly apart. If you bang them, the back breaks and pieces fly out all over the place, create shrapnel all over. Then after I went over it with the small belt sander, came over here and used the fiber wheels on it, and it worked really, really good. And you can see where I started. It actually looked like this the first time I touched it with a small belt sander. And now we got it polished up and looking good. Still got to do the top. in the bottom, but it's going to be a really nice looking hammer, especially for a stonemason's hammer. It's going to get beat up. Well, I've learned some new things about the belt sander. I've also learned some new things that I thought I already knew, but what I knew was wrong. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the US or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.